This is 𝗦𝘁𝗁 in Chicago, and you're watching my channel, Knowledge for Quality of Life. Friends, I welcome to those who have recently joined the channel and this community of learner group. And I particularly thank to all those who have participated in the comment section, giving their views, comments, asking questions. And I tried my level best to respond it in a timely manner. Today, I'm going to talk about something which is very important and #1 killer in the United States, and in fact, most likely in the world. February month is designated as an American Heart Month, basically a designated federal national day. Started from our ex-president Lyndon Johnson, 1964. And we have been celebrating every year this February is American Heart Month. But what does it really mean? When we celebrate any particular day or month, there are some objectives for that month to obtain. And besides the federal government and medical establishment and everybody else who has advocacy responsibility to make people aware, it is our responsibility as well as a consumer to reflect on it. Okay, and that's what I'm going to try a little bit today, from small effort from my side, because I feel like I'm a very small guy, but I always reflect first on myself, and whatever I reflect over the years, on given day, I try to share my thoughts and my learning through this channel and through my various platforms. So otherwise, if we have a designated day and we just create some kind of a platform that donate this much amount of money, or do some program for designated month, yeah, those are all good acts, but it doesn't do a whole lot good to individuals like you and me. So we have to educate ourselves, and I think one of the most important things I have learned in my life is to educate, learning, and that should not stop, never, until we kick the bucket. Okay, so the more we are informed, the more we are educated, we can make a profound and well-informed decision in our life, whatever it may be. Not only health matters. It may be education matters. It may be a financial matters. It may be anything in life, whatever we do. So today I'm going to take a little bit, a reflective approach in sharing my thoughts. So when we say about purpose, that purpose has this day brings, actually it has many focus areas which we have to reflect upon, because whenever we go, at least I have been seeing my doctors every year, and previous my doctor, every time I go, person looks at it, the lipid panel, and they are so much bogged down with the LDL that they said that, okay, this thing is over 100, you are at risk and you have to take a statin drug or whatever, without giving any advice whatsoever that what are the other parameters which one should be looking at it. Okay, because LDL is just a tip of the iceberg. The more important thing is triglyceride. The more important thing is HDL, which we don't hear so much unless a doctor is very careful and learned and looking at from perspective of prevention of the heart disease rather than curing it or handing over the statin drugs. So I was in the same boat 9 years ago, because they think that, according to the expert, they say that, HDL is one of the main criteria for heart disease. So if you take 100 folks, and, if you take 50 of them who are less than, desired HDL value, which is 40 for male and 50 for female, there's a chance of 50% is going to inherit heart disease to some extent. Okay, so HDL is a very critical element. I was in the same boat at one point, when my HDL was 27, but I never was educated by my doctor that how to raise it. Yeah, the most he said that I can prescribe you prescription of niacin, which is vitamin B3, heavy dose, and you can take that to raise your HDL. And when I digged it up, in the literature, that niacin is also could create a problem. It may increase the liver enzymes, and it may bring your insulin resistance at a little bit higher level. Okay, so there's a trade-off that at one point you are trying to increase the HDL, and then you are trying to be less insulin sensitive, the other factor, right? So we know that insulin sensitivity is a prime, also one of the factor for heart disease. If you are less insulin sensitive, it means that your insulin resistance, your heart disease risk goes up. Okay, so it's a trade-off. So we have to look at the big picture of each and every variable, and I've done many vlogs in the past addressing each and every issues as far as the heart disease is concerned. Today I'm going to be sum up something on this reflective day of American Heart Month, so that people who have joined the channel recently, they can get something out of it, and also reflect back and watch my previous vlog on that subject matter. Okay, so first thing is that most important thing is that we have to do the proper testing. Okay, because proper testing means that if we go to the standard lipid panel, it doesn't give you the whole picture that what it entails as far as the risk of the heart disease is concerned. Because standard lipid panel gives you total cholesterol, HDL value, LDL, and triglyceride. And I've explained in the past that you have to do the particle distribution test, whether you do NMR lipoprofile test or advanced panel IQ, cardio IQ, which is by Quest. The NMR is by LabCorp, and advanced lipid panel cardio IQ is by Quest. So this gives you a whole lot of information about the particle distribution and everything. Okay, then you have to do most of the time I've seen that people are more concerned about the heart disease as far as the heart attack is concerned, because anything which creates an issue below the neck, if there's a rupture in the plaque, there's a blockage in the artery around the coronary arteries around the heart, then you have a heart attack condition. But people overlook sometimes anything above the neck, because these two carotid arteries, which I have mentioned in my previous vlog, are crucial arteries which pumps the heart pumps the blood through these arteries and goes to the brain. Now if the rupture happens here somewhere, then those small clots or those plaque can form a clot and get stuck somewhere in the brain and can create a state of the stroke. So we have to be mindful for this awareness month that we are not only concerned about heart attack, but we are also concerned about stroke conditions. Okay, so we have to do the proper testing. And when I talk about this lipid parameters, of course if it applies to heart attack conditions, it applies to stroke as well. But there is a special test for both of them. If I want to see the state of the health of my coronary artery, I would go and do the CAC score, calcium score scan, and see if there is a calcium deposits around it. It's not going to give me the plaque volume, but it's going to give me just a calcium deposit. Now they say that experts say that if there is a calcium deposit, of course there is a plaque also that builds up over time. Then there is a special testing that you can check the plaque volume also, because that gives the your doctor a prime important factor to do the further testing. If there is a calcium score, if the CAC is 0, then you don't have to worry about. But it doesn't give you any free pass that you don't have a soft plaque. Okay, so be mindful of that. The other test, besides the coronary artery scan, there is a test called CIMT, carotid intima median thickness. So they measure actually the wall thicknesses of your carotid artery. And there's another test which is called carotid Doppler. So they take the various point around your carotid artery. They put a gel and they take the different velocity at different cross sections, and they monitor that what is the change in the velocity. So I'm not going to go into the detail, but if there is a drop in the velocity or sudden rise in the velocity, particularly sudden rise in the velocity at these cross sections, then there is a chance of that that area where there is a drastic increase in the velocity, there is a stenosis. They call it, there's some kind of a blockage. And of course, the medical community is designed such a way that the protocol is such that they are not going to intervene unless the stenosis, the blockage, is 70% or over. Okay. Now, there's no guarantee that it may rupture over 70% all the time. It can rupture at 30%. It can rupture at 40%. It can rupture at 50%. We don't know. It's anybody's guess. So what I do personally, I do my carotid Doppler once in 5 years. Okay. And besides, every year my lipid panel particle distribution I monitor. So these are all the tests which we have to do to make sure that what is happening internally, because otherwise we don't know what's happening internally, and God forbid something happens, then it's a huge price to pay. Based on the quality of life, it's going to deplete over time. So proper testing is very important. Okay, so watch my vlogs on those issues which I've just mentioned. The other thing is that HDL, when I mentioned that HDL, like I was having an HDL of 27 only. Okay, now I took it HDL from 27 to 64 over the course of 3-4 years. Okay, it increases slowly. Okay, but you have to fix first your vitamin D above 60 and eliminate all the carbohydrates and sugar from your diet. This is part of the advocacy that this month demands, right? Because we are trying to say that it's an awareness month, so that we have to be aware ourselves that what it brings. Okay, so we have to increase our HDL first. It means that we have to make sure that we are optimum on the vitamin D level, eliminate all the carbs, all the sugars, because carb and sugar tends to increase our triglyceride. Okay, now when the triglyceride goes up, the HDL goes down. That's how it inversely varies. Okay, it's not directly correlation. Direct correlation is that if one parameter increases, the other parameter would increase too. But inversely correlation is that when one parameter goes up, the other parameter goes down. Okay, and triglyceride and HDL is inversely correlated. Now again, triglyceride is a factor which is directly correlated with the body weight. Okay, and body weight is inversely correlated with your HDL. Okay, so these are all intricacies amongst the parameters. So you have to understand that how it works, and how to manipulate this thing through your diet control. Okay, what to eat and what not to eat. Okay, I'm not saying that you have to diet. Okay, I don't diet. I eat a lot of things, but I eat the right stuff. What am I supposed to eat based on my genotype? And watch my vlogs, because I have shared everything on this platform. I didn't hoard anything to myself. Okay, so it means that first you have to fix your vitamin D. That's a prime important thing for overall health. It's not only your cardiac risk, it's everything. Your immune system, your innate immune system of your complete being. Okay, if I were to say one sentence that if we don't have oxygen, we may die in 5 minutes or 7 minutes or whatever the time frame for individual capacity is. But if you are deprived of D, then probably your quality of life is going to be a very, very poor in the years to come. Okay, mark my word. Because for the last 9 years I've been studying D hormone, and this is the conclusion I'm giving you. Okay, so make sure that you are optimum on D. Okay, and once your D is fixed, you eliminate all the carbs and sugars. You try to manage your HDL above 60. Once you eliminate your triglyceride, once you eliminate your carbs and sugars, your triglyceride is going to start coming down, because you're going to slowly lose weight. If you are on the high scale of the weight side, then when you eliminate your carbs and sugar, you're going to reduce weight. So make sure that while you are losing the weight, don't go for your lipid panel testing, because it's not going to give you a reflective true picture, okay? Because it needs to come down and plateau, it means stop further reduction, and then you do the lipid, then you're going to get the bigger correct picture, okay? So when you're going to eliminate carbs and sugar, your triglyceride is going to come down. That is going to, over time, lower your weight, okay? Reduce your weight. You're going to get more natural BMI, the way nature has designed you for, okay? And your HDL is going to start shooting up slowly and gradually over time. It's not overnight, okay? It took me, the first major change to see in my case is, it took me at least a year and a half, okay? But you have to do all those conforming things which we are supposed to do, okay? And let the result pan out over time. So it means that you have to arrange these 4 numbers in a way that you control that, okay? Because LDL you cannot control too much, little bit by eliminating certain things. And I'm not a big fan of herbal supplements and vitamins, unless whatever it's needed in the body and I cannot get enough from the food, okay? I don't load up on supplements and vitamins, and this is not in my books, because if you take too many supplements and too many vitamins, even though they are good, it may be detrimental to your health over the long time, because each and everything in excess, it has some side effects. So be mindful of that. The second and foremost thing after this testing and lipid panels is that you have to make sure that you are insulin sensitive, okay? Insulin resistance is one of the prime important thing for your cardiac risk, heart disease, okay? Because first thing happens inside the artery is lesions, which I have explained to you, because if somebody has too much sugar and carb in the diet, glucose is high, your insulin remains high, you are a frequent eater, then it's going to create a small lesions inside the endothelial layer, which is your arterial system. And that's why I avoid all sugars and all carbs, and try to keep my HOMA-IR less than 1, and my insulin under 5, okay? Fasting insulin. So do the right proper testing, get your HOMA-IR checked, okay? And through fasting insulin, and watch this vlog where I explain you HOMA-IR, because HOMA-IR is a major player in minimizing or reducing the cardiac risk, okay? So do the proper testing is important. Eat close to the nature, okay? Eat as much as close to the nature, better for us, okay? Because all the processes and all the processed food and all these junk item which we have, like chips and cookies, and everything has a refined carb. If everything has a sugar, added sugar, and that leads to increase in your triglyceride. If your triglyceride is high, your small LDL particles, which are very atherogenic in nature, is going to increase in the number, and then it's going to get oxidized fast, and then it's going to form in the plaque formation, okay? It's part of the plaque formation. So basically, if somebody is insulin resistance, the diet is poor, okay? And then generation of the small LDL particle is higher, means triglyceride is higher. It means that the person is on fast track for heart disease, okay? So we have to be very careful in all these things. You have to understand each and every parameter, how to tackle each and everything. Because when you go to a doctor, and when I go to a doctor, my doctor doesn't have that much time to spend in educating me, to be aware of all these parameters. You know, you have to do your homework, you have to do your learning part, you have to do your education part, you know, so that you are prepared when you go to a doctor. You have a conversation, intellectual conversation with your doctor. Okay, you are giving me statin drugs, what is it doing? Okay, because any drug, it doesn't have to be statin only, any drug comes with a side effect. Okay, and remember that as we age, that if we keep adding the drug, it's not coming down, it's going to add more, one more, because you know, each side effect a drug brings. When we go to a doctor, we say, well, I am having this issue, you know, which could be a part of the side effect. Like statin has 3 more side effects. I have seen, because I've dealt with my mom. My mom lived 99 years, but when, you know, 20 years ago, when I had zero understanding of these health matters, because I was relying blindly on doctors. When my mom's doctor, she looked at her first time lipid panel, my mom's total cholesterol was 300. Okay, now her LDL just was 197. So doctor said that, you know, your mom needs a statin drug, and I had no idea about it. And I said, well, doc, if you think that, you know, my mom needs a statin drug, give it to her. So I took it, and, you know, my mom, poor lady, you know, started taking the statin drug, simvastatin, 40 milligrams. After a few years, she started complaining that I'm having a joint aches and, you know, muscle spasm. So I thought that, you know, I've discounted to some extent that, you know, my mom is aging. And, you know, I told my mom that, Mom, you are aging, and this is part of the aging process, I guess. So I think we cannot do much about it. We have to live with it. And we discussed with the doctor, and doctor discounted, and, you know, it's not a very big thing. You know, sometimes it's aging, and, you know, she didn't say that, you know, this could be a part of the side effect. Then after a few years, you know, my mom started revealing to me and my wife that she was having a short-term memory issues, because she was forgetting things as we speak, and, you know, within few minutes she would not remember that I said something. And that triggered me, and then I started hitting the forums. I checked each and every forums I can put my hands to, like AARP forums, and, you know, all those people who are on statin drugs or a variety of drugs. Okay, what are the things what other seniors are facing? Okay, so I was getting these 3 common side effects. One is joint aches, muscle spasm, and short-term memory issues. And then I started hitting the books, and that's when my journey began, actually. And then my case study came, my lower HDL, and then, you know, it just, you know, opened a can of worms. And then I said, wait a minute, you know, it's not my mom. I'm in the pipeline as well, because, you know, my HDL is low. Of course, then I did my CAC score, my carotid, I did everything, all the testing, and, you know, some things were not in properly order. Okay, and I said that I have to take the ownership of this thing, and I started seeing the doctors and, you know, having a conversation. And my primary care referred me to cardiologist, one of the leading cardiologists in the Midwest. Okay, he's considered as one of the best lipidologists and, you know, cardiologist in the Midwest. And, you know, when I saw him after taking the appointment, because it was a 6 months waiting period, and he said that, Mr. Shah, you can't do much about it. You have to do what I'm telling you, to take the statin drug to lower your LDL. I said, you know, there is no alternative lifestyle I can do to minimize the risk. And he said that, no, you cannot do anything, because, you know, my small LDL particles were in the 666 range. And, you know, he said flatly out that, you know, you can't do much about it other than statin drug. And I said, okay, give me 6 months, and I'll try to do everything in my power. And if I needed to take the statin drug, I will ask my primary care physician to write me one, and I'll start taking it. And since then, you know, I started reading. And, you know, I started taking care of my vitamin D, and then I started taking care of my, you know, eliminating the carbs and sugars and everything. And, you know, I've explained in my HDL log, that what I did. So basically, I took one step at a time, and this is 9 years journey. Okay, it didn't happen overnight. Okay, and then when I started eliminating my carbs and sugar, I was never obese. Because everybody who knew me, they saw me always same in the physical form, and they never saw me a high BMI person. But still, I lost 12 pounds by just watching what I'm eating, and I'm eating the right stuff for my body type. Okay. And I lost 12 pounds. Now, that 12 pounds came only from visceral fat. Okay. So I dropped my waistline. I used to wear 32 waistband. Okay. My waist size dropped to 30. Okay. So my doctor asked me, in one of the, annual visit, that, Mr. Shah, are you dieting? I said, no, I'm not dieting, doc. I'm just watching what I'm eating. And then I pointed out to him that, look at the history of my lipid panel distribution. And he looked at it and his eyebrows went up. I said, wait a minute, what is happening here? You dropped your small LDL particles from 666 to 180. And then I explained him that what I was doing. And he said that, you are one of the case study that if I get a patient like you, I may have to close my clinic, because, you are something. That's what his words were. And I started sharing this thing with my family and and then I started sharing with my community folks, and I started sharing on this channel as well. So if I can do it, I think you can do it too. All I'm saying that, we are not trying to be immortal by any means. This is not my objective. Okay. We all are going to die one day. Okay. This is written on stone. But what I'm trying to achieve is a good quality of life, the best quality of life, as long as I'm alive. Okay. Whatever it's in my power, that's the only strive I'm trying to do. That, I'm shooting for the quality of life rather than the quantity of life. Okay. Because I'm a son of a centenarian. Okay. My father lived 102. I have no idea about his health, because, he never saw a doctor in his life. He never went to a doctor. I don't know about history of his lipids. Nothing. Zero understanding of his inside chemistry. But I knew a lot about my mom. Okay. Because lately, we had the opportunity to do this lipid particle distribution in the United States and all that. So I can vouch that, my mom lived 99. Once I realized that, my mom is going through all these side effects with the statin drug, and I did the NMR, because NMR popped out while digging the, research papers and everything. And, NMR can provide the better information about the heart disease. Then I did the NMR on my mom, on myself, on my wife, on my both kids. So all 5 family members did the NMR. And guess what? One of the best lipid particle distribution were exhibited by my mom. Okay. So my mom's small LDLP, even magnetic particle distribution testing cannot read it. It means that her number was less than 90, which is ideal. You cannot have lower than that. Okay. So I realized that my mom was never a candidate for the statin to begin with. And I made a decision for the goodness side. I told my mom that, mom, you are not taking this statin drug anymore. So I stopped it completely. And after that, my mom lived many years. Okay. So, it's just slowing down. My both parents died in home. Okay. By the natural death. Okay. My mom lived 99. My dad lived 102. Am I going to get a free pass of a centenarian? I'm not taking anything granted, because at the end of the day, the intellect which is provided by the God Almighty, all I can do is practice whatever education I have received, because my mom and dad were not fortunate to have the type of education which I have. Okay. So I can do the best I can, but all I can say that, both of them, I observed them very closely. both of them never ate outside any junk food. Whatever they spent life, they were hardworking individuals. They were doing everything, all the chores by themselves. They were mobile. Okay, they ate everything, fresh cooked meal inside the house, you know, including from the spices to everything. Okay, my mom used to make everything fresh. Okay, so it means that, you know, and recently I've been to Turkey, you know, in 2018 I've been to Turkey, and 19 in Spain, and recently last year, you know, in October in Greece. I have observed these Mediterranean peninsula, you know, different countries, and hopefully this year I'm planning to go some other place, and then I have observed people, how people live there, how people eat there. Okay, and these are the blue zones. Some of them are blue zones, and they tend to live with a longer life, but with quality of life. Okay, like for instance, you know, I have emphasized on this channel usage of the extra virgin olive oil. I use Cretan oil, right? It comes from Crete, because average person in Crete Island, where I spent last year in October about 8 days, you know, 30 liters of extra virgin olive oil, average person, and heart disease is less than 4% in Crete Island. So, you know, it's all about what we put in our system. Okay, so be mindful of that. You know, this month brings the advocacy month, awareness month. So educate yourself, learn. And one of most important thing I forgot in the testing, that, you know, one parameters which is very important, Lp(a), that needs to be tested, because if you have inherited this special lipoprotein, which is very atherogenic in nature, we call it Lp(a). Okay, and there's a drug in the pipeline, probably in phase 3rd trial, but if you have to do once, probably I have done, my wife has done, and we are very low on the side, so we have not inherited from mom and dad. So you have to see that, you know, if you have inherited this special lipoprotein gene or not. If you have, then, you know, make sure that, you know, you are in touch with your doctor how to mitigate that. Okay, because, you know, this is very atherogenic, and if you have that particularly Lp(a), then your insulin sensitivity and other factors becomes much more prime importance, because, you know, this risk of Lp(a), you know, it's going to just put gasoline in the fire if you are insulin resistant. Okay, because everything, just each parameter is a risk. The more risk you eliminate, you know, better it is. So if all the risk gets together, it's going to create a balloon of flame. Okay, so I hope that, you know, I thought, you know, I shared some thoughts on today's awareness day. I hope you learned something. And if you have any questions, concerns, comments about, you know, my journey on this particular topic, include in the comment section, and I'll refer to you, because, you know, we have limited time, and I cannot, you know, share everything, small details what I did. I hope to see you next week. Until then, bye.